Hey guys, Popo here bringing you guys a new video, and today we got some big news. As you can see here, Series 8 was announced, and the only difference is that you can bring one restricted Pokemon. The list is right there. What we're going to do today is we're going to go through each one of these Pokemon. I'm going to talk about them real quick, just do a kind of overall analysis, and then we're going to go over to Showdown, in which I will show you some teams, some basic setups. They don't really have any moves or anything on them right now, but we can go through a couple of that kind of thing as we get there. So yeah, we played some of this today on my Twitch. You can check that link down below. We're also going to be talking about it a lot on my Discord, which link will also be down below. So make sure you guys go check out both of those and drop me a follow over on the good old Twitch. It means a lot to each one of those. We're almost at 500. We're only 12 away. So if we can hit that, we're going to do a special stream. So, yeah, look forward to that. But anyways, let's get going on this. So, you can compete in ranked battles starting February 1st with Series 8. And by your side, you can have Pokemon like Mewtwo, Lugia, Ho-Oh, Kyogre, Groudon, Rayquaza, Dialga, Palkia, Giratina, Reshiram, Zekrom, Kyurem. That's all the forms of Kyurem as well. Xerneas, Yveltal, Zygarde, which you can also have all forms of him, Cosmog, Cosium, don't use those. Celia, Lunella, Necrozma, which includes both forms as well, all three forms, I should say. Zacian, Zamazenta, Eternatus, and all of the Calyrexes. So, Calyrex also has three forms. So let's go through this list a little bit. Mewtwo, I think Mewtwo's pretty decent. It gets access to Max Airstream. It gets access to Expanding Force. Seems pretty decent looking at it. Lugia is very, very bulky. Its damage output is a little weak, but with a weakness policy, it can do some damage. And you can hit it without doing too much to it. Its typing is a little iffy, seeing as how it is weak to the Urshifu. So it's a little risky of a Pokemon. Ho-Oh, however, is extremely bulky, has really high attack, and could use either Assault Vest or Weakness Policy and do some damage. We got Kyogre. Kyogre is going to be one of the best of the format. Of course, every format that Kyogre is in, it is extremely good, and this is no different. Then we have Groudon. I think Groudon's also going to be pretty decent. Once again, usually when Kyogre's good, Groudon's pretty good because it kind of counters the Kyogre and vice versa. Then we have the Rayquaza, which cancels out both of them. I think Rayquaza is going to be actually pretty decent. You'll see some Rayquaza teams. You can use it in certain situations. Then we got Dialga. Dialga is kind of tough to use. Its typing is pretty decent, but its weakness to ground is going to be significant things against things like Groudon, and the fact that it doesn't resist Ghost is going to be an issue as well. Excuse me. Then we got Palkia. Palkia is not great. Its typing, once again, is pretty good, Water Dragon. But it just doesn't do enough damage overall. With Weakness Policy, you could do some stuff with it. You can do Draining Kiss to set off its Weakness Policy, but it's not the fastest thing in the world either. Giratina is a very supportive legendary, so you're probably not going to use this because you don't want your one restricted to really be a support. Though I could see Giratina teams working in the future if somebody can figure out really good set for it. Reshiram. Reshiram has been good in the past. Reshiram could be good. Setting up its own Max Flare could be decent. Zekrom, I think, is going to be a little weak. Once again, the weakness to ground is going to be a big issue. Kyurem's have never really been good. They're good in singles, but the ice typing is just not great. Xerneas. So Xerneas is an interesting one. Everybody's scared of Xerneas. It's not that scary. Don't be super scared of it. There's a lot more counters to it nowadays. And it just doesn't bode that great of a... That's probably the wrong word. It doesn't, like, have that great of a setup now. It's a lot easier to stop. Though, Indeedee does make it pretty good. Yveltal is going to be one of the best ones. Yveltal is extremely good. Oblivion Wing is good after you can get up a couple of Max Airstreams. It can run Assault Vest or Weakness Policy because it's super bulky as well. Zygarde's not going to be very good. He never is. His 4 times weakness to ice is just too much, especially with Calyrex running around. Don't use the next two. Solego, don't use that. Lunella, people are talking about Lunella. I don't know. It's too weak to Calyrex, Shadow. I don't know. Necrozma, same thing. It's too weak to the Shadow, especially if you put it in one of the other forms. It's too weak. Hot take, Zacian. Not great. People are like, oh my god, Zacian's going to take over this whole format. It's not. Incineroar kind of walls it. It does a lot of damage, of course, but it can't max. So it's kind of just stuck in that form. It's weak to Fake Out. You know what its item is, so you can... You know it doesn't have Assault Vest, so it's going to die to an Eruption, or it's going to die to an Earthquake, because it can't have anything but the Intrepid Sword. Zamazenta is a little bit bulkier, but it's going to be in that same boat. It's more of a support Pokemon, gets Wide Guard and stuff like that, but it's not going to be great. Eternatus, I think, can actually be pretty good. Its max move is really decent, especially against any of these Dragon Pokemon that max. It can hit it really hard. It's base 130 speed as well, which people don't realize. 145 base special attack. It's kind of insane. Eternatus could be really good. And Calyrex, yeah. Base Calyrex, trash. Don't use base Calyrex. There will probably be a team that uses base Calyrex, but it's not super good. But Ice Horse Calyrex and also Shadow Calyrex, both insane. So, yeah. Those will be fun. But let's go jump over to some of these teams I have here. So the first one is going to be an Eternatus team, right? So here's Eternatus stats. Base 140 HP with 95, 95, 140, and 130. He's kind of insane. I think these put it to level 100, so don't worry about the stats too much, as we can just drop it to 50, whatever. But yeah, I mean, look at those stats. At level 50, no investment, 215 HP. What? Like, I think this is going to be a hidden gem kind of Pokemon, where you're going to have to find the right team. But it gets Dragon Dance. You're not going to really use that, but you're going to use the Dynamax Cannon. It doubles the damage of the Pokemon's Dynamax. It one-shots every dragon. So you're going to use that. It gets Recover. You're probably going to use Protect. You're going to use Shadow Ball, because Shadow Ball is going to allow you to kill Calyrex in a lot of situations. And then you're probably going to run a Sludge Bomb. You can also run Sludge Wave with something like Amoonguss or Celesteela, which I didn't put here. But Eternatus, he can't max. So what you can do, and adversely to help with that, is use a really good max Pokemon like Zapdos. The difference between this and Zacian is the fact that Eternatus has better coverage overall. He gets destroyed by Zacian, honestly, the Eternatus. But I think it's one of those Pokemon that you can take people by surprise because they won't be ready for. But yeah, you can use something like Zapdos as your max target. Of course, he can set up the max Tailwind. He can also go for Heat Waves and stuff like that, which is going to deter a lot of the ground Pokemon that Eternatus is weak to. Same with Rotom Heat. You can bring out Rotom Heat. You can set up the Flare, bring out Rotom Heat, and he's going to do massive amounts of damage, as well as having the electric typing to help deal with things like Kyogre or other Zapdos. Because you might want to also run a Trick Room, or you're going to use the Zapdos to set up Tailwinds. Also, it's really good against Rillaboom, which Rillaboom's going to be really good. So you're going to see a lot of those. Amoonguss is going to be really good in this too, because you're going to be able to put things to sleep. Kyogre, it does not very well against Amoonguss. So if you can put the Kyogre to sleep, you can start doing stuff with Eternatus, who's going to do massive amounts of damage, actually, to Kyogre. So I think Eternatus, I don't think it'll be great, but I think it's going to be one of those Pokemon that can surprise people. And I think that people don't realize what its stats are. Because, like, I mean, that's kind of gross. You know what I mean? That's a lot of HP. And then if you get 252 here, I mean, that's a lot. And you have a modest 216. 216 on his special attack while having a lot of speed. He's really good. He's really good, but I don't think overall he'll be that great. Let's see. Next we have this set here. So we have the Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh is going to be one of those Pokemon as well that he's going to have a weird place in the meta because he is weak to Kyogre, but a max Geyser does not actually kill the Ho-Oh. And since they speed tie, it's going to be a little strange. So you're going to want something like Regieleki that's going to be able to use the Electro Web, so you can lower the speed of both of the opposing Pokemon. And Regieleki, obviously, he pairs well with things that don't get hit by, Max Quake, which Ho-Oh doesn't. So you can lead something like Regieleki, Kartana, or Regieleki. Rillaboom would even be a good replacement for this Kartana here. And then Specgier. Specgier plus Regieleki is really good because it takes out the Calyrex. Since Ghost is 4 times effective against Calyrex, Specgier is going to be a really good counter to it. Since you'll be able to use a base form, not really have to worry about that. And also you can still run either a defensive set like with Snarls and stuff like that, as well as running a very offensive Life Orb set and playing a role that is similar to what a lot of people are using already. Because with a -1 speed, regular Specgier will outspeed. So I think something like this works because you're going to need to counter the Kyogre, and you have really good counters for the Kyogre. Once again, this could be Rillaboom instead of Kartana. But I think the rest is really good. Okay, the next one is going to be the Rayquaza. Rayquaza needs a lot of help. So he can't really do things on his own. And one of the problems is he's pretty frail. I mean, 1-5, 90-90, but he has the 4 times weakness to ice, which he doesn't mitigate with what like the max Rayquaza used to. So he's kind of stuck in that kind of form. Oh, this gets cut off a little bit, but that's fine. That's fine. So Rayquaza is going to be good with a very hyper-offensive team. So we have the Rayquaza. He's going to set up Tailwinds. He's going to be able to do some Wyrmwinds, stuff like that. You can run Dragon Dance on him. So Rayquaza is going to be your main setup, but you also have Cinderace that you can bring out. He can become any type, so he's going to be kind of your pivot Pokemon that you're going to use to set up a type to take an attack to then switch to something like Rayquaza for a fire attack when you are Steel or something like that, when you're going for Iron Heads or whatever. Also a great max target. And then we have Regieleki just to help us outspeed, because we're only 95 base speed. I know everybody thinks Rayquaza is so fast, but he's only 95 base speed. So we need something to help with that, and the Regieleki is really good for that. But also the Porygon 2. So Porygon 2 can help us set up Trick Room if we're facing another super hyper offensive team, which we can use Rayquaza to maybe outspeed, or after Rayquaza's dead, then we can use like Porygon, Celesteela, maybe Calyrex, not Calyrex, Glastrier on the team as well to just help at that end game. Also, Porygon can be super offensive, as we've seen from the Players Cup 3 stuff. So, but I think Rayquaza's plus Alekis, you're going to see those quite often. Next, we have Zacian. Like I said, Zacian I don't think is going to be as good. Here, I did a whole list of 6 just to show what team I might use if I was using the Zacian as well. So, of course, you're going to use the Zacian. His move pool is kind of insane. You're going to use Behemoth Blade every single time. You're probably going to run Crunch. You're going to run Close Combat. And here's the problem, right? Do you run Play Rough or do you run Protect? And I think this is one of the issues that Zacian's going to have, because a lot of people are going to click that Play Rough because they want to do the most damage output. I mean, the 170 base attack, 148 base speed, and his defenses are insane. People are going to want to run those attacks. But once again, you cannot run another item on him. So you're kind of stuck with this item. But what you can do, right, is you can use Grimmsnarl. So you can use Grimmsnarl to give Lagging Tail to something else, taking their item and then giving that item to the Zacian. Now, I don't know if that turns Zacian back into the base form, but your boy gonna try it at one point. So I think having the Zacian plus the Moltres, you can put the policy on the Moltres, because we're covering for the Fairy weakness right away with the Zacian. But we're going to have 3 dark Pokemon here. We don't want to get hit by the trick ourselves with the Lagging Tail, so this is going to be kind of our counter, is going to be to switch into like Moltreses. For fire attacks here, we're going to have the Incineroar that we can switch in, or the Landorus to kind of wall those. We're probably not going to run Earthquake on our Landorus, though. We're going to run High Horsepower, just for the fact that we don't want to kill our own Zacian endgame, or our Regieleki. Or Incineroar for that matter, because we do have 3 weaknesses, but we do have the Galar Moltres, who's going to help mitigate some of that, and the Grimmsnarl, who can give the Lagging Tail to that ground Pokemon. and take their item, of course. So yeah, he's gonna do a ton of damage, but I expect to see this Crunch. You're running Crunch because it does kill Calyrex, but at the same time, Crunch is probably the one that will get dropped the most. Because it's hard not to want to take the stab. You need close combat for Incineroars, but yeah, he just has too many moves, and Protect is going to seem like it's not one of them, and I think he really needs Protect to be good. But I just don't see him being super good unless he has really good max target next to him, like Moltres, maybe even Zapdos, but even then, I think it's going to be really hard to use him, because in that slot, I could use Calyrex Shadow next to Moltres, and I don't have to max the Shadow, you know what I mean? So I don't know. We'll see, though. Next, we have the Mewtwo. Mewtwo is kind of insane. I didn't realize how many coverage moves he gets, but for some reason, they have given him... Let me see if I can find it here. Where is it? I don't think it's here because people don't use it. In singles? Hurricane. They give him Hurricane and Expanding Force. Those are going to be the two big ones. Life Orb is what you're usually going to probably use. You could use Specs as well. But to make use of this Expanding Force, you're going to want to probably bring Indeedee. Indeedee also helps protect Mewtwo, but you can run Choice Scarf Indeedee and go for double Expanding Force turn 1. It's good. It's good. We want something that's going to counter the Trick Room, though. So we're going to have the Porygon 2 as our counter Trick Room. He's super bulky. He can also do damage back. So Porygon 2 is going to be that Pokemon. And then we have something like Landorus that can help us deal with Zacian, because Zacian's going to be pretty decent against this team. But Landorus is really, really good against Zacian, because he intimidates him and plus just one-shots him with something like high horsepower. But yeah, I think Mewtwo will actually be a lot more decent than people are going to give him credit for. Because with this, he can't get Sucker Punched. Max Mewtwo doesn't die to an Urshifu Choice Band Wicked Blow, so that's an interesting calc to know as well. Does do massive amounts of damage. So this is a team I'm actually scared about, and this team I kind of put together. Yveltal with Weakness Policy, with Comfey, is going to be insanely good, because you know it's good with Moltres. Yveltal is just like a really bulky Moltres. He just has more bulky stats, but he also has more special attack. So you could run Assault Vest, but on this set, we're going to run Weakness Policy. We're going to use Grimmsnarl for screens. Then we have Regieleki, who's going to be able to come in, and because his speeds... I mean, 99's decent, but compared to some of the legendaries out there, not great. But we also have Weezing Regigigas. So Weezing Regigigas is going to continue to be good even with all these legendaries. I mean, he has legendary-esque stats. If you look at him, like, look at these stats. These stats are nuts. So, yeah, this is going to continue to be good with the Weezing and the Regigigas, but you're going to have to try to stop the Yveltal, the Comfey, the Weezing, the Regigigas. Dark Aura, of course it's good, but you don't need it, so running the Weezing and having Yveltal out is not going to kill you. That's why we don't really mind the abilities. Like, Prankster is obviously good, but you're never going to really have Grimmsnarl out with Weezing, right? And Transistor's okay, but once again, you might have that out with Weezing, but if you are, you're probably going to lose the game. You were already losing the game. But yeah, so I think Regigigas plus Yveltal is going to be a pretty decent team, and I would look out for something like that. Next we have Xerneas. People are also still scared of Xerneas. Of course, Xerneas' special attack is insane. He has the same stats as Yveltal, but it has that Geomancy, which gives it the +2, right? So usually going to run Geomancy, and then really whatever else you want. Moonblast, you can run. It gets Flash Cannon, but you're probably not going to run that. I mean, you could now, I guess, is viable, but you're also going to run the Thunderbolt usually, so you can max Lightning. And you're going to have the Power Herb, of course. But yeah, it's going to be crazy, and with Indeedee, you can almost guarantee that you're going to set up the Geomancy boost. But you can also run stuff like Clefairy. You can run Xerneas, Indeedee, Clefairy all on the same side. We also put Grimmsnarl here so we can give the lagging tail to something to allow Xerneas to get off the Geomancy. Also gets Fake Out, so that's good as well. Regieleki is going to just help with mitigation of speed. These are Pokemon, I wouldn't use all these on the same team, but these are Pokemon that you could help Xerneas set up. Xerneas is kind of its own thing. You can have other Pokemon around it. Incineroar is good with it because it helps mitigate the damage from physical attackers. Landorus, same thing, is good with it, especially with Choice Scarf Rock Slides to help, get those flinches late game. But yeah, I think these are the main Pokemon that you're going to see with it for its setup, right? Indeedee is probably going to be number 1, Clefairy number 2. Grimmsnarl can set up screens, Regieleki can set up screens. That's just going to help Xerneas live much, much longer. You can also do stuff with Grimmsnarl, with Trick too. Next one, I'm terrified of this team, right? So Calyrex Ice gets Trick Room. Nope, not Trick. He also gets Trick. We don't want Trick. I know you guys probably can't see that. He gets that, but he also... What's the name of the move? I can't... what is it? What is the name of his move? Ice... It's not Ice. What is it called? Why can't I think of it? And why is it not on his list here? Why can't I think of it? It's not even on his list. But it is... Oh, wait. Glacial Lance. There it is. Glacial Lance. So he gets those two. And his stats are kind of insane. 165 attack, 150, 130, 100. Right? And you're going to run Weakness Policy on this bad boy. Okay? So that's going to just... That's what you're going to run. And then you're going to have Glacier in the back with Assault Vest. Or Life Orb. Either one. Either one is perfectly fine. Because you're going to set up Trick Room with Calyrex Ice. You can use Indeedee in this as well. You're going to have Incineroar. Incineroar, Calyrex is going to be a really good start because of the Zacians. So you'll be able to fake out Zacians or fake out the other Trick Room user because we're going to see a drop, I think, at first in Dusclops. I think Dusclops will come back. But I think at first we'll see a drop in it. But Incineroar is going to allow us to get the Trick Room up a little bit easier. Or like I said, you can go Indeedee. And then we have the Tapu Fini to stop the burns. Because we don't want R2 to get burned. But also there's a big threat. Groudon, right? Eruption Groudon or Eruption Torkoal, something like that is going to be really big. So Politoed's going to help us negate that damage onto our Calyrex and Glacier. Since we can't run Kyogre, obviously. In other forms, if there was two... If you could do 2, I would do Calyrex Ice plus a slow Kyogre. And that would help mitigate that same damage. But yeah, you want to kind of spec so that way you can survive without the rain. You want it to be able to take that hit and then get that Weakness Policy and that Trick Room off. Calyrex Ice is going to be scary. It's going to be scary because Glacier is already scary. And now Glacier has a big brother who does the same thing, but more damage and has a spread move. So, watch out for that. And talking about big brothers, here's probably the biggest brother. He's going to be one of the 2 best Pokemon, and that's going to be Calyrex Shadow. Calyrex Shadow is nuts. If you saw anything from my GS Cup run that I got second in Wolfie's tournament, I used Calyrex and I used Kyogre. And the reason why Calyrex is really good is because his Astral Barrage hits both Pokemon. He does have 4 times weakness to Dark and to Ghost, but you can mitigate that using the Indeedee. Indeedee can't be hit by Ghost, as well as it stops Sucker Punch, because Sucker Punch from Urshifu kills Calyrex, right? With glasses or band or anything like that. It just straight up kills Calyrex. So you need a way to protect that Calyrex. And you can do that in 2 different ways. With Indeedee, you can do it kind of with Clefairy, or you can do it with Fake Outs. Those are going to help as well. What I find best is Calyrex plus Indeedee is a really good setup because you can run, Astral Barrage here. And then you can run Nasty Plot and Expanding Force. And Protect is the last one usually. You can run that because look at this. 165 base. And then he has pretty good defenses. Like, that's not bad. 100 special defense is really good. 100 HP is really good. And then 150 base speed is kind of nuts. So Calyrex Shadow is actually insane. Next to the Indeedee, you can go for Stab Expanding Forces, or you can go Astral Barrages, depending on what Pokemon they have. A max, then you're gonna go Life Orb usually. Life Orb, just to maximize your damage. Yeah, a max Ghost onto the Dusclops kills it. So, and even if it doesn't, you go that and you go Expanding Force. Dusclops dies. Yeah, so you could stop Trick Room setups pretty easily. Clefairy is going to help mitigate some of the damage that goes into Calyrex if they have Kyogre or something like that, but you're never really going to be outsped. Rillaboom's going to help set those terrains, so that way you can keep them off of the terrain that they need, as well as getting a little bit of healing for your Calyrex and whatever your other threat is, because I wouldn't go with this lineup, obviously, but these are Pokemon that'd be good with them. And Incineroar, of course, is really good. It's going to help mitigate that Zacian damage and fake out the Zacian so you can kill it, because a max Ghost kills Zacian. It's not even close. And a +1 Astral Barrage kills it too, so it's not even close. So you can do a lot of damage. If you can get +1 off of on this Calyrex, or you can go for the Nasty Plot first turn with the Indeedee Follow Me, and Indeedee dies, you bring out Incineroar, and you can fake something out. Calyrex is going to kill pretty much anything it attacks with the Astral Barrage or the max Phantasm. And nothing's really going to outspeed him except Regieleki, and Regieleki's not going to do enough damage. So, yeah, Calyrex is going to be pretty insane, so be very, very careful for those Calyrex Shadows. I think somebody will come up with a good plan on how to deal with it, but as of right now, this is kind of what we're dealing with. This is the pick I picked for today. This is I kind of used this core here. With Groudon, I used the Choice Scarf on him. Takes people by surprise. I spec'd him out to outspeed Cinderace, because I think Cinderace is going to see a little bit of a rise before he falls again. Because I don't think he's going to be that good, but people are going to think he's really good because he hits a lot of things for a lot of damage. But so we did this with Precipice Blades. You can go, what's good about Groudon is you can go Special Attacker or Physical Attacker. He has Special Attack of 100. His defenses are pretty decent, but his regular defense is 140, so he can take a hit pretty well. 100 base HP, 150 attack with Precipice Blades just does insane amount of damage, and that's why I was okay with running the Choice Scarf on him, because he already does insane damage that you don't really need that boost to that damage. And then you have Regieleki. It's going to help your Groudon outspeed things it might not outspeed otherwise. And you can also set up these screens, which is going to help your survivability, not only on your Groudon, but on your Charizard. Because Charizard, he does take a lot of damage from a lot of things, including Regieleki's himself. But he also does massive amounts of damage back with the Wildfire. We did some Wildfires in the rain that did like 30% to a Politoed. Like Wildfire in the rain. So Charizard, I think he's going to be really good. With Groudons, you're going to see them a lot. And of course, you're going to see Venusaur sitting next to the Groudon, because he does have that Chlorophyll. I know it doesn't say it here. He has that Chlorophyll. And he has that Solar Power, of course. So you're going to see these together a lot. These three, I would imagine, because their synergy is really, really good. Regieleki could be switched out for something else, but I think Regieleki here is really, really good as well. Helps your Charizard outspeed a lot of things. Groudon can go a couple of different builds. It can go Focus Sash, because it is weak to a lot of things because it's ground, but that'll help it survive Kyogre, right? And get off of Precipice Blades. By having the Regieleki, that helps with that. You can also use Rillaboom. Rillaboom's really good, has the Fake Out, and it also puts pressure on the Kyogre. So there's quite a few things you can do here. You just don't want too many flying weaknesses either, so you be careful about that. Pick wisely. But yeah, I think Groudon's going to be pretty good, and I like Groudon. But my favorite Pokemon, and the one that's the best in the whole format, is definitely Kyogre. I mean, 150 base special attack, his 100 HP, 140 special defense, 90 speed. With a Tailwind up, he can outspeed max speed Regieleki. He gets off, the strongest attack probably in the whole game, which is Water Spout in the rain with Mystical Water. You can even go Choice Specs if you really wanted to. The real weakness to this team is that Tornadus can be faked out. Because you can make it so Tornadus can't be taunted with the Mental Herb, but he could still be faked out. But you also get the Rillaboom to put pressure on other Kyogres. It's also going to give you fake out pressure, but Indeedee is probably going to be the real winner here. You're going to see Indeedee in a lot of these teams, especially the setup ones. Being able to follow me, go with Kyogre, and also get rid of the terrain for the opposing Rillaboom is really good. So you're going to want like a min speed Indeedee just so that way, because he's 85. Indeedee's 85. So I run mine with not min speed, but like mid speed. And it does pretty well. Because usually these are 31 IV in speed. So they can outspeed other Rillabooms who are also that. Or they'll go a little bit investment. Because you want to be able to outspeed, Feenies without terrain up. Or something like that. But yeah, I think Indeedee plus Kyogre just pretty much gives you a free Water Spout on turn 1. Gastrodon's going to help mitigate a little bit of this, but I mean that's why you have like things like the Rillaboom, right? So you can help destroy that. Not having 2 legendaries is going to hurt Kyogre a little bit more than it's going to hurt Calyrex, because Calyrex can work on its own. But when you had Calyrex plus Kyogre in that team that I used, it was really hard for people to be able to counter both. And I think you're going to see teams either hard countering stuff like Kyogre, hard countering stuff like Calyrex, or they're going to counter stuff like Zacian, which I don't think you need to do. Or you're going to see hard counters to Xerneas. And Xerneas' best counter is probably Zacian, but Zacian just loses to a lot of other things that just doesn't make it worth it. Like this Ice Horse set, I mean, this destroys Zacian. Even if they hit the Ice Horse, it doesn't kill, and it really never kills. And then you could just go Max Quake and just pretty much destroy it. Or you can just fake out with Incineroar. And it's pretty much over for them. So yeah, those are the teams, or kind of the sets that I think will be pretty decent going into Series 8. Of course, I could be completely wrong, and we could see something crazy come out of left field, like some crazy Zekrom team that we don't realize right away, right? But I just think that people are overhyping Zacian, and I don't think people are hyping up enough the Shadow Horse, and I'd be worried about the Shadow Horse and not Zacian if I was you. So, yeah. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure you guys rate, subscribe, and comment, and I will see you guys later.